I told you, and I will prove it to you in this video. You could have taken a lot of profits. I don't know what happened yesterday, but it feels like the video didn't get too many clicks. Additionally, I have the most important economic news, a new entry for you, plus a complete trading setup and maybe even a pretty secret tip from a narrative, which currently no one has on their radar. I would say let's not waste any time. See you after the intro. Now, new UP Trend VIP trading. Your opportunity to copy the signals of two profit traders for free. They managed to grow an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your BingX account. You can find all further information below in the description. A quick look at the heat map. Everything looks quite good so far. No strong heavy jumps or anything except for Ethereum. So it feels like it's just not going to go back up properly yet. We'll have to wait and see. But first, let's take a look at what caused the positive news we effectively saw yesterday. Because yesterday the inflation figures for the month of March were released. They were highly anticipated and then turned out to be much, much better than expected. So in February, the inflation rate was still at 2.8%. And if you look at it now, the forecast was 2.6%, but the actual value was 2.4%. And that is, of course, quite a positive sign, which has been reflected not only in the stock market, but especially in crypto. Yes, a heartfelt thank you at this point. I don't know what happened yesterday, just barely. 460 views. Either this video wasn't shown, or whatever. Feel free to write in the comments whether it was shown to you or what might have bothered you about it. I can tell you, if you had seen it, you would have been able to take a lot of profits, but I'll get to that in a moment. Also, the likes were logically quite restrained in comparison. Therefore, I'm curious if we can push today's video a bit more. So I'm trying here to give you the maximum added value, whether in trading or in the news, so that you can get the most out of it for yourself. So if you're interested in that, if you especially want to support my work, it's really simple. By leaving a free like now. And if you're watching the first video and thinking, okay, Daniel, what are you even doing? This is about crypto news. Fact-based, neutral, transparent, without hype, plus a daily trading setup. If you're interested in that, feel free to leave a free subscription now and activate the bell so you don't miss any important information. A warm welcome to all newcomers. And now let's continue directly. Yes, and with that we come right back to a core topic, this big question of what Donald Trump might be doing in terms of manipulation here. I'll say right away, the truth will lie somewhere in the middle. However, it is quite questionable, so for those who remember, I also shared this on X, by the way. If you're not following me there yet, you can do so at Uptrend Info. Or simply check the description, there's a link to it. In any case, that exact post was in question. It's a good time to buy. Aha, alright. Especially this post came a few hours before the announcement was made with, hey, yes, the countries have now expressed themselves and want to enter negotiations. And that's why we're now taking a 90-day bow pause and reducing tariffs. Here. Alright. Well, now one could of course suggest that this is practically a public statement beforehand and a public market manipulation that anyone can extract, but I still personally see such posts as quite dangerous. So there's also a game, maybe you know her, Elizabeth Warren. Yes, she has already spoken out very strongly against Trump on several occasions, wanting to pursue investigations there as well, etc. Now, it must be said the game is a Democrat, and also not a big fan of Bitcoin, as she has explained several times. And this senator is very keen on pushing back a bit. So, with all due respect, but certain doubts remain. The only thing one can still hold on to here is, okay, so the White House itself has announced, let him cook, which I interpret as, let him do his thing. He has a precise plan. I personally believe that he is following a plan with what he is doing, and I don't believe that it's so blunt that it's just about personal profits. But on the other hand, hey, guys, he is a businessman. I'm just saying Trump meme coin and stuff like that. No one can tell me otherwise. That this thing was created out of altruism. But as I said, what's your opinion on this? Write it in the comments. What we can briefly note at this point, however, is the Bitcoin worth US dollar index. And it definitely stands out that the dollar is really taking a dive right now. And as I said, purely from a historical perspective, I've shown it several times. You can see it quite well here. Here, for example, the dollar goes down and Bitcoin shoots up. I don't need to repeat that now, but I can. And if you take a look at this, you can certainly say, well, we have here again a threshold, so to speak, that has been tested several times, which of course can result in the corresponding, the dollar possibly sliding further down. And now also due to the entire surrounding constellation, Bitcoin can accordingly gain momentum. Now I might have something exciting for you. I was approached about a game by the community. Now, if you've been following me for a little longer, I've been saying all along that this gaming narrative is likely to become quite big in the future. However, no one currently has it on their radar, which is interesting for those who are now engaging with it. It's about the game HatchKings. It might ring a bell for you. The game is already live, so it can be played. I'll show it to you right now. And what I find pretty cool about it is when you take a look at who is actually releasing such a game. So are they reputable, etc.? And if you just look at the followers alone, especially how many followings are given, you can already say, yeah, they know what they're doing. And they are quite large, represented. Then they have now released this game, HatchKings, and this is, in turn, the expansion of HatchLinks. And just as a side note, this game has made more than 300K US dollars in revenue so far and has over 500,000 users. So there should definitely be a fan base already. There are now various battle passes where you can also buy all the stages, that is, the levels if possible. So we're talking about a battle pass costing around $5. I will say right away, familiarize yourself with the topics before you make any investment here. And then in the end, you say, Daniel, what did you tell me? But as I said, I would definitely delve a bit deeper into it. Especially since there is also its own token, which is completely community driven. Just a little side fact here, CZ has in the past, that was a couple of months ago, thrown a tokenomics into the ring so that you say you have a supplier token, and this will only be expanded or updated after various milestones have been reached. Released? It's a pretty cool concept because it helps to curb the inflationary aspect a bit. Because of course only when a goal is reached do more tokens enter the market. And that's exactly what this game, or rather the developers behind it, thought, well, let's just adopt that, which can definitely make sense. So in my opinion, the whole thing is definitely well thought out. You can simply log in here using your Google account, for example, then you'll see this, then you click on play now and you'll find yourself here. And I can also tell you something about that now. If you use the code UPTREND, no, it's not about pushing any rev system or anything like that forward. I'm completely staying out of that and I don't benefit from it either. However, if you use the link, you will receive these 100 in-game currency, whatever that is, these bucks. And then you can start playing with that, of course. So you can collect here and then you see, okay, so we've received something again, which is a great thing. And then, yes, I want to say right away at this point, I'm the least fan of any kind of luck. Game, gambling, whatever. If you have certain problems with that in any form personally, then please do not play this game. So that's very, very important. I don't want to introduce any new addiction factors here, but we're just going to do it now. And then you can participate accordingly. And for example, you have this shop here, you can get the battle pass, and you can also invite. For example, just as an example. And then You can just play through it. You see 3 correct ones. That's pretty cool. And then you see how the whole thing expands upwards accordingly. So I can imagine, feel free to write in the comments what your opinion is, whether you also like to play something like this. But as I said, just give some feedback on it. I find it quite cleverly set up, even when you take a look at the other components around it. To conclude, here's a very quick tip. It's about a new case of fraud. And to sum it all up here, always check the wallet addresses. There is a quite insidious scam, because most people, like myself, I always look at the first few characters and the last few characters and then say, okay, it matches. If, of course, the wallet address is changed in between, then you naturally won't check it thoroughly anymore. And this is exactly what this scam is designed for. So therefore, I can only give the tip, always check the entire address. Now directly onto the trading setup. By the way, if you're looking for a cool exchange, I found a great deal for you, namely BingX. If you're interested, you can simply sign up now via the link in the description, plus get a sign-up bonus or even a trading bonus and deposit bonus, and whatever other bonuses you can get. I'll just display it here for you, then you can check out all the details. But I can give you the tip. As I said, this exchange is big. It makes a very good impression on me. I trade there myself, so I can give you the tip. Just check it out. Let's start briefly with the Bitcoin heat map. So here we can already see everything is fully loaded. So both down here and up here, which already looks quite positive. And also the chart in general, well, I'll get to that in a moment, as I said. You could have taken advantage of this thing yesterday if you watched the video about it. However, here again, a clean rise. So I'm still waiting for a confirmation there. I'll get to that in a moment where you might be able to take a good entry again. Because it already looks quite good, depending on how the traditional market plays along, of course. That we can rise again into these higher areas. So right here, something has indeed formed well. It's conceivable that we will collect the liquidity. Now let's switch to the 15-minute view for this. First of all, we should note that the RSI is already relatively high. Sure, there's still room to move up. But all in all, it could be that we see a short cooling off again, but that's exactly what I'm waiting for. A retest, which I'll get to in a moment. And I already told you yesterday, a huge vector candle has formed here due to the suspension of tariffs. And then we've been dancing around here the whole time. And I said, keep an eye on this. And it was effective. So we went down here once, then there was the retest upwards, and then it went down. And as I said, I hope you took this trade nicely. So I entered somewhere around here and then accordingly exited pretty close down here. So this candle has now also been dealt with. I don't think anything else will happen here. So as I said, everything was picked up cleanly. The 200. It must have run somewhere around here. There was a brief pause and then it continued downwards again, just as expected. And the price, it recovered well again. Nevertheless, I'm currently waiting before I open any long positions here. Because for me, this value here is particularly relevant right now. So if we take a look, it was good here. Movement on it. So let's say something around 80,630. And if we look further over here, you can also see there was already a test here where the rejection came upwards. And if we continue to practice looking, then we also see here we had a touch with this area. So as I said, this is a very exciting zone. And I'm personally just waiting to see if we, or rather, I could well imagine if this runs smoothly that we see another retest down here, and then I personally plan to open a new long order, because I can well imagine that we will then move upwards again accordingly. Because here too we had the confirmation again here, and then we sustainably moved upwards. So everything looks quite clean with what's happening right now. Further look at XRP. Yes, down here quite attractive liquidity has built up. One might consider placing a limit order here because, well, if there should be another pullback in Bitcoin, there are always two scenarios then. it could be that this zone is revisited. All in all, the heat map doesn't currently reveal much about what else might happen. Also, we must not forget today is the last trading day. From tomorrow, the market makers will be fully present again, and the entire field is left to them. Let's also take another look at the 4-hour view. Yes. So, we have here, which already looks pretty good, the vector candle has only been picked up to a certain extent here. Now, of course, one doesn't know, so that was exactly this threshold value. Yes. Possibly something might happen again, and it could continue downwards. So we are not beyond this point yet. So I would keep an eye on what is happening here. So whether we can make another higher high here, or whether we stay below the value and now drift downwards again, that would also be possible. All in all, it looks quite good. So maybe it will continue directly from here. But I would keep this as a threshold value in mind to see, yes, okay, maybe it goes sustainably above. So around $2.56, $56, give or take, so something in that range. Or does it go one level lower here and then, for example, upwards? That's it for now. I'm very curious about your opinion. So feel free to write it in the comments. And otherwise, if you liked the video and want to support me a little, feel free to leave a free like. And finally, I can give you the tip that in yesterday's video, there were also other news besides this one core topic, so it's best to zap through it here. You can find the video otherwise. We'll see each other tomorrow in the next update. Until then, all the best. Bye.